It's 10 years since Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was lost somewhere in the vast expanse of the Indian Ocean.
The disappearance of Flight MH370 is one of the biggest mysteries in modern aviation history.
After nearly a decade, shrouded in darkness, the mysterious case of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 finally sees a flicker of light. Launched into the depths of aviation's unresolved mysteries in 2014, the flight's disappearance has haunted the skies with seemingly unanswerable questions. How did a Boeing 777 carrying 239 souls from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing vanish without a trace in an era where technology uncovers our deepest secrets? This burning question leads us to chilling new discoveries that may finally unravel this aviation enigma. As we approach a potential resolution that has long eluded experts and tormented families, a pivotal piece of evidence emerges. Could this breakthrough provide closure, or will it lead us into a new realm of mystery? Join us as we explore the latest developments in the search for MH370. Initial disappearance and confusion. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m., bound for Beijing, with 239 people aboard. The flight began under normal conditions, with experienced pilots in command. For the first 38 minutes, all appeared to be proceeding as expected, and the aircraft maintained routine communication with air traffic control. The last transmission came at 1:19 a.m., when the co-pilot, Farik Abdul Hamid, calmly bid, "Good night, Malaysian 370. This would be the final time anyone on the ground would hear from the aircraft. Merely 2 minutes after this last communication, a crucial piece of equipment on the aircraft, the transponder, which allows air traffic control to track the plane, was manually turned off. Following this, MH370 deviated sharply from its flight path. Instead of continuing northeast towards Beijing, the aircraft took a sudden turn westward, flying back across the Malay Peninsula. This unexpected maneuver added the first layer of mystery to the flight's disappearance. These hours of travel by MH370 became a real nuisance. Lima, in Malaysia, squeezed the heads of the military radar, confirming that the airplane had persisted nearly for 7 more hours in executing another serious turn into the southern Indian Ocean's desolate territories. During this time, PD's air traffic controllers transitioned from mild concern to full alertness. Silent, with no beacons signifying distress or communications belying panic, the long-lasting absence of sounds from the plane's direction said that very wrong was going, and by the time dawn broke, and when MH370 still did not arrive in Beijing, things had reached the point of having to escalate into full emergency mode. The aircraft had seemingly disappeared, and hence was a massive multinational search effort. The search initially concentrated on the South China Sea, where the aircraft would have been expected to fly. Nevertheless, early in the search, the focus was redirected as a result of new satellite data from the British satellite telecommunications company Inmarsat, which had indicated that MH370 may have continued flying far longer than originally thought. So shifted the search from the South Chinese Sea toward the southern Indian Ocean, marking the genesis of what has become one of the most baffling and protracted aviation mysteries. As the dawn revealed an empty sky where MH370 should have been, the search veered into uncharted waters, both literally and metaphorically, heralding a shift that would challenge every assumption made thus far. Shift in search efforts. The search for MH370 initially concentrated on the expected flight path over the South China Sea, where the plane was last confirmed to be on course. However, this area soon proved unlikely as the location of MH370's disappearance when investigators encountered a pivotal turn in the case. Analysis of satellite data by Inmarsat revealed that the aircraft had continued flying for at least 6 hours after it lost contact with air traffic control. This startling discovery indicated that MH370 had not gone down shortly after its last communication, as was initially suspected, but had instead flown a considerable distance from the previously searched areas. Prompted by this new information, the focus of the search efforts dramatically shifted to the southern Indian Ocean, a vast and remote area that presented significant challenges. The Indian Ocean's depth and the absence of nearby land made the search operation exceptionally difficult. This region was not covered by traditional radar, and the information about the plane's location was primarily based on satellite handshakes, automated signals between the aircraft and a satellite that provided critical but sparse clues to its possible location. The search was redirected into one of the largest and most complex international search operations in aviation history. The search took place over an area of 120,000 square kilometres on the ocean floor, coordinated by Australia's Transport Safety Bureau, ATSB. Braving advanced sonar and deep-sea vehicles mapped the ocean features with a new geographical feature profile on underwater mountains, ridges, and trenches without, unfortunately, showing any sign of the aircraft itself. The new search operations and expensive resources deployed could not bring out any substantial evidence of the whereabouts of the missing MH370 airplane. However, they did note some search actions conducted in 2015, nearly 13 months after the disappearance of the aircraft. An alleged piece from the plane had been washed ashore on Réunion Island, a French territory in the Indian Ocean, quite far from the main search area. Subsequent examinations confirmed that it was indeed from the flaperon found on the MH370, having been the first credible physical evidence of the aircraft's accident, confirming that it most probably crashed in the Indian Ocean. It also reignited search operations based on drift modelling, predicting the pathways taken by floating debris. This granted clout to their theories, but the main wreckage and critical black boxes remained missing, furthering the enigma of the disappearance of Flight MH370. Breakthrough discoveries. The search for Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 experienced a significant breakthrough in July 2015 when a piece of aircraft debris was discovered on the shores of Réunion Island, a French territory in the Indian Ocean. This debris, identified as a flaperon, was the first tangible evidence confirming that the missing aircraft had indeed ended up in the Indian Ocean. Over the following years, additional pieces of wreckage were found scattered along the coasts of countries like Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tanzania. Each of these discoveries added new pieces to the puzzle, helping to refine the ongoing search and analysis efforts. These pieces of debris were meticulously analysed to gather more clues about the fate of MH370. The flaperon and other fragments that washed ashore showed signs of physical impact and were consistent with a high-speed water crash. This suggested that the aircraft met a violent end. Notably, a burnt piece of debris found among the wreckage raised the possibility of a fire on board, although this theory, like many others regarding the aircraft's disappearance, remained speculative without conclusive evidence. While the physical search continued, technology was stepping in to focus the search on narrower and more precise aspects of the flight path of MH370. At the heart of this enterprise was a clever system of satellite handshakes, wherein automated signals are exchanged in regular intervals between an aircraft and a satellite, thus relaying vitally important information regarding the whereabouts of the airplane after it had disappeared from radar coverage. Hence, investigators speculated that MH370 had flown for several hours before finally disappearing into the southern Indian Ocean. Search strategies were modified and refined as new technologies were developed and brought into the fray, including deep-sea drones as well as advanced sonar mapping technologies. The two served to generate better assessments of the ocean floor and to show underwater features never mapped before. Despite all those interventions and partial debris recovery, the principal wreckage still remains unfound, especially the flight recorders, or so-called black boxes, leaving the hardest questions as to the last moments of the flight unanswered. However, continuous advancement in technology kept hope alive that a breakthrough will one day shed light on the mystery of the disappearance of MH370. Theories and speculations. In the absence of definitive evidence regarding the fate of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, a wide range of theories and speculations have surfaced. Some theories suggest a possible hijacking or an act of terrorism, hypothesizing that someone may have taken control of the aircraft and deviated from the planned route. This is supported by the fact that the aircraft's transponder was manually turned off and the plane made unexpected turns after the last contact. However, without concrete evidence, these theories remain speculative. There is another theory that has involved human intervention in Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah's alleged diversion of MH370. Zahari apparently practiced for an exact route that MH370 apparently would have flown after the diversion from its actual flight path on his home simulator. This has led several to line up behind a supposed pilot action, such as planned disappearance or pilot-initiated deviation. Nevertheless, the initial investigations did not substantiate the proposed intents, and the theory remains only one among the many considered by various experts and the media. Any reasonable mechanical failure or fire-related in-flight event has been proposed for the disappearance. The discovery of burnt debris from washed-up wreckage raises questions about a fire condition developing on board. Nevertheless, there was no sign of any systemic mechanical failure in any of the debris yet studied, while no clear conclusion was drawn that fire-related debris in any way proved this event to be the cause of the crash. More outlandish hangers-on include cyber hacking, extraterrestrial abduction, or secret military shootdown. The media love these theories, which are fodder for conspiracy theorists, but no serious evidence exists. Nor are either of these ideas really taken seriously by aviation experts or investigations. These hypotheses embody the basic human tendency to seek explanations for almost any incomprehensible tragedy, while simultaneously demonstrating the dearth of information available to buttress those explanations into the mysterious disappearance of the aircraft. Investigation and reports. The formal investigation into the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was led by the Malaysian government, with assistance from international aviation experts and other relevant authorities. The investigative team faced unprecedented challenges due to the absence of the wreckage and limited data from flight and communication systems. In 2018, after years of exhaustive efforts, the Malaysian government released a comprehensive report. This final report stated that the aircraft was deliberately steered off course, though it could not conclusively determine who was responsible or why this action was taken. The report also highlighted significant lapses in air traffic control's response, suggesting that more prompt action might have helped track the aircraft for a longer period. Throughout the investigation, several critical pieces of information were pieced together from the sparse data available. Satellite data played a crucial role in tracing the aircraft's path after it vanished from radar. The analysis of these handshakes between the aircraft and a satellite indicated that MH370 continued to fly for several hours toward the southern Indian Ocean. This led to a shift in the search efforts from the South China Sea to the vast remote waters off the coast of Australia, fundamentally changing the trajectory of the search operation. An absence of a clear-cut conclusion kept the door open for speculation and independent inquiries. The grieving families and aviation enthusiasts kept analysing all the available data and made their independent attempts to seek new information. These inquiries for answers epitomise the long-reaching effects of this tragedy upon the international community, which kept the story in the media and public debate. Whereas the official report recorded every little detail of the incident, it has been unjustly criticised for not being able to truly convey the way the aircraft went missing. It states that the tests were confined to considerations of admissibility, thus leaving certain possibilities, such as mechanical failure and interference, not thoroughly excluded. Somewhat with bearing, though, it has brought renewed calls for a renewed search and investigation of MH370 in a manner that suggests an optimistic notion that that disappearance may yet one day be solved through more advanced technologies and methodologies. While the investigation's conclusions hung in a cloud of uncertainty, the path was cleared for advanced technologies to illuminate the depths of one of aviation's greatest mysteries. Technological advancements in search. The search for Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 has been significantly influenced by advancements in technology, particularly in the fields of satellite communication and deep-sea exploration. Early in the search, the analysis of satellite handshakes, automated signals exchanged between the aircraft and a satellite, was crucial. These signals were instrumental in suggesting that MH370 had continued to fly for several hours after losing contact with air traffic control, drastically shifting the search area to the southern Indian Ocean. This use of satellite data was unprecedented in its application and has since set a new standard in aviation disaster response. Deep-sea technology also saw remarkable advancements during the search for MH370. Autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, and other deep-sea drones were deployed to scour the ocean floor, mapping previously uncharted territories. These tools are equipped with high-resolution sonar and cameras, allowing for detailed imaging of underwater features. The sonar technology used was capable of identifying objects on the seafloor with much greater accuracy than earlier tools, although the vast and complex environment of the Indian Ocean's floor posed significant challenges. In addition to the sonar systems and AUVs, they've developed new computational models to more accurately predict the crash site through ocean currents and debris drift patterns. These models utilize data from different sources, such as meteorological systems, ocean currents, and other environmental patterns, to simulate various pathway possibilities for the debris. By tracking where the debris came on land and backtracking it to a probable crash site, the scientists are now, more than ever, better able to refine search areas by pinpointing potential new zones of interest that had previously passed under the radar. Integrating AI and machine learning into search operations has changed the landscape. AI algorithms now comb through vast amounts of data obtained from satellites, sonar scans, and other sensors, searching for anomalies that might indicate aircraft debris. Algorithms mitigate human error and speed up analytical processes so search teams can pursue their leads with utmost precision. As technology advances, all of these ongoing search efforts for MH370 are aided by sophisticated tools, giving rise to hope that somehow, someday, this mystery will be resolved with the aid of technology. New scientific evidence. The search for MH370 has been bolstered by new scientific evidence that has emerged in recent years, utilizing both acoustic data and cutting-edge tracking technologies. One of the most promising advancements is the analysis of underwater sound waves recorded on the day of the disappearance. Scientists revisiting old hydrophone data discovered an acoustic event that aligns with the timeline when MH370 is believed to have crashed into the Indian Ocean. This acoustic signature, if verified, could help narrow down the crash site to a specific area, significantly reducing the scope of the search zone and focusing future underwater search efforts. Another significant breakthrough in the search for MH370 has come from the development of advanced satellite tracking methodologies and weak signal propagation techniques. Researchers have employed a technology known as the Weak Signal Propagation Reporter, WSPR, which tracks the disturbances in radio signals caused by objects moving through the atmosphere. This method has allowed for a potential reconstruction of MH370's erratic flight path post-disappearance, offering insights into the plane's movements that were previously impossible to track with such precision. Additionally, new studies using forensic oceanography have applied artificial intelligence to replicate ocean drift patterns from debris that was lodged on distant coasts. With thousands of simulations running on current ocean and weather information, the scientists now have a much closer estimation of the likely impact zone. This analysis, however, directs a renewed search into areas that had previously been said to be narrow misses with the main wreck field. The recent scientific methods, coupled with conventional search methodologies, have energized current efforts to find MH370. The unusual historical patterns of satellite data from Earth-observing satellites have also added to this renewed quest. Such disturbances or clear disturbances in the atmospheric pressure patterns during the time of the crash could lead researchers to break through clues that would unlock new possible efforts for wreck discovery, possibly representing shock waves during the crash or at other times. In general, these new scientific methods are increasing the understanding surrounding this critical moment of flight and continuously pushing modern search and rescue operations to new horizons. Another interesting aspect of the search for MH370 is the incorporated geospatial analysis and modern-day tools. With remote sensing data from satellites, geospatial experts are analyzing anomalies in oceanic surfaces and weather patterns prevailing during the time frame and areas considered to be those of the disappearance of MH370. This method discerns abnormalities like oil slicks or debris fields that may have escaped detection by conventional search methods. For example, a recently published study by a team from the University of Western Australia utilized satellite imagery to trace marine debris, possibly providing further clues for refining search areas. These new techniques allow us to observe the ocean in ways we couldn't before, significantly enhancing our ability to locate objects in vast and remote waters, states Dr. Charitha Patiarachi, who led the study. Thus, this innovative concept of applying satellite imagery not only shows the progressive status of search strategies, but also shows how the potential of such cross-disciplinary approaches lies towards solving far more complex endeavors, such as the disappearance of MH370. AI, now at the forefront. Artificial intelligence, AI, now stands as a pivotal force in the renewed efforts to unravel the mystery of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, which disappeared in March 2014. AI technologies are being leveraged to sift through vast datasets previously collected during the initial search phases, such as satellite data, ocean current information, and records from the extensive search areas. These AI systems are adept at identifying patterns and correlations that escape human analysts, enhancing the precision and efficiency of the search. The use of AI has allowed researchers to formulate more accurate hypotheses about the aircraft's last moments and potential crash site, based on advanced data analysis techniques. Furthermore, AI's role is complemented by significant advances in quantum computing, which provides the computational power necessary to handle complex calculations at speeds unachievable with traditional computers. Quantum computing aids in processing the enormous volumes of data related to MH370 disappearance, including satellite communications and environmental data. This capability allows for a much faster reassessment of the flight path and potential impact points, refining the search grid based on new insights into the plane's last known parameters. AI incorporation into underwater drone technology heralds a new dimension. Thus, these drones can be fitted with AI-based sensors and can autonomously fly over great stretches of the floor and send high-resolution images from subsea depths and areas that haven't been reached. This technique would not only ensure an increased probability of finding wrecks, but also reduce time and resources for handling such operations. Deployments of these modern drones are planned soon for searching selected areas, and they can know where MH370's remains were likely found. Well-advanced satellite imaging technology changes how search operations are performed. This satellite has a higher resolution camera and is analytically higher, capable of detecting and analyzing the minutiae observed from space. These satellites observe changes in movements and the surface of the ocean that can give a green signal for the presence of underwater debris from an airplane. Private space companies have been fruitful in applying this new cutting-edge technology in regions already surveyed to bring about all new discoveries that could lead to recovering the aircraft. AI is at the forefront of the search for MH370, and this brings large-scale discussions about the ethical concerns that accompany possibly deploying such technology in sensitive situations. Critics, like Dr. Eleanor Rourke, an ethicist, have argued that while AI has great potential to assist, there must be strict guidelines in place that govern its use to ensure respect for the privacy and dignity of those affected. Such concerns express the need for a balanced approach that, while maximizing AI's potential, also considers possible ethical predicaments so that the application of such technologies is effective and respectful to the families and individuals involved. Ongoing impact and family responses. The disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 has had a profound and lasting impact on the families of the 239 passengers and crew members on board. For these families, the absence of definitive answers and the lingering uncertainty surrounding the fate of their loved ones have compounded their grief and frustration. Many have been vocal in their demand for continued search efforts and have not wavered in their resolve to uncover the truth. The emotional toll has been immense, as each new piece of debris or potential breakthrough brings hope, yet often leads to more questions than answers. In response to the initial search and investigation outcomes, Families of the missing passengers have been actively involved in advocacy and public campaigning. They have pushed for greater transparency and accountability from the authorities handling the search operations and investigations. Their efforts have kept the incident in the public eye and have been a driving force behind the continuation of search efforts even after official operations were scaled down or suspended. Not only the families immediately affected by the tragedy, but also the wider international community of aviation experts, aviation enthusiasts, and theorists have been pulled into the snare of the MH370 inquest. This has, at times, even buoyed the families towards their motive for knowing, through alternative research or speculation, keeping the discussions sparked and alive in forums, articles, and documentaries, among others. Such dispersion, bespeaking the unprecedented mystery attached to the flight's disappearance, playing rather to a human want, serves as the locus for high crime-solving mysteries. The ongoing effects of MH370 have also prompted changes in aviation safety and tracking regulations. As a response to the disappearance of the flight, international aviation authorities are also developing new guidelines that will prevent future unresolved incidents. This will include improved tracking protocols that ensure that aircraft are followed in real time over oceanic and remote regions to be able to respond quickly in case anomalies arise, thus preventing any aircraft from going dark, as MH370 did. Hence, the catastrophe of MH370 continues to find after effects in every other way, affecting future aviation safety regulations and ensuring the reality persists for the memories of the lives lost in the continuous improvement of global aviation practice. Concomitant with attempts to resolve the disappearance of MH370 is the influence of an overarching social and psychological phenomenon, that of ambiguous loss. This term was coined by Dr. Pauline Boss, an eminent researcher of this loss type, to describe a circumstance devoid of closure or definitive understanding. Such losses can promote complicated grief for not being subjected to closure or resolution. The indefinite state of no concrete answers promotes unresolved grief for many families of MH370, for they could not bring closure to the mourning of a person who is presumed dead. This psychological insight helps in understanding the very specific and lasting agony of families left behind, and indicates a need for specialty support and acknowledgement of the intricate emotional worlds traversed by families in such situations. This acknowledgement has resulted in calls for better access to psychological support to be integrated into the response to any future airline disasters, along with the understanding that such grieving processes profoundly affect mental health. Exploring the profound emotional impacts and regulatory shifts spurred by MH370's unresolved saga, we now pivot towards a horizon where innovation and hope converge, promising new pathways to uncover truths that have long eluded us. Future of the search efforts. The future of the search efforts for Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 is marked by renewed optimism and advanced technological approaches. Following a series of extensive but ultimately unsuccessful initial searches, the latest scientific breakthroughs and improved data analysis have rekindled hope for locating the missing aircraft. These include new acoustic data pointing to a potential crash site, advanced satellite tracking, and refined ocean drift models that suggest previous searches may have narrowly missed discovering the wreckage. As a result, a new phase of search efforts is being planned, focusing on these newly identified areas with higher precision than before. In 2024, a renewed search is set to commence, spearheaded by Ocean Infinity, a private company that has previously been involved in the hunt for MH370. This new search will utilize cutting-edge technology not available during earlier efforts, including AI-powered autonomous drones that can scan the deep-sea floor with unprecedented detail. These drones are equipped with high-resolution sonar and capable of operating in deep water for extended periods, allowing them to cover larger areas more efficiently and effectively than manned submersibles. To find MH370 indeed reminds those closest to him about what true life means by keeping them off the hooks of reality. Truly, in keeping with what would otherwise be a practical event, Such efforts are supported and beyond just the family of those aboard MH370. There is great public and government pressure to follow new leads, with the Malaysian government making noises about possible approval of this new search if the evidence presented continues strong on the case. Support from this community, perhaps even in eventual global funding and collaboration, will be critical for such renewed efforts to have a chance for success. Learning more about the fate of MH370 also brings some dreams of solving a mystery, recovering wreckage, and, ideally, the black boxes may provide critically important answers concerning what happened during the last hours of the flight. This could potentially bring closure to families and make things safer for aviation by encouraging the changes that need to happen to prevent other tragedies like this from happening again in the future. Thus, future search efforts may not merely be about finding the lost aircraft. They will probably be much more focused on learning from what possibly is the biggest mystery in aviation, safety protocols, to better enhance such protocols worldwide. Technology not only marks the progress of technical capabilities, but also changes the way the general public and policymakers see and approach such sorts of mysteries, and into the equation through their common interests. Technology has thus enabled greater public demands for transparency and accountability from governments and private entities involved in such operations. In declaring, as an aviation expert and journalist, Jeff Wise, the MH370 search has transformed itself from the traditional search operation into an open, high-tech expedition for the world, not setting, but establishing new definitions of public involvement as well as expectations of future missions. This is how everything has come to be. Internet forums, social media, and crowdfunding efforts have influenced and financed increasingly larger parts of the search, democratizing the processes and underscoring a more collaborative approach toward the solving of global mysteries. This dynamic might well serve as the catalyst for developing new patterns in how similar massive-scale operations are handled in the future, built around openness and public involvement. Thanks for joining us on this intriguing journey into the latest updates on Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. If you found this exploration as captivating as we did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content. Your thoughts and interactions mean a lot to us. Also, make sure to watch the next video appearing on your screen to continue uncovering the mysteries and stories that baffle and fascinate us all. Stay curious and keep exploring with us.